Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to our last info session of the season. We are very happy to meet you all virtually. I see that we have a lot of people signed up for our session today, and that there are more coming in. So please feel welcome to introduce yourselves, where you are logging in from, and how you're feeling this morning. It's morning for us here on Pacific Standard Time in Vancouver. And just on that note, I would like to begin all of our proceedings with a simple land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that, for me at least, this event takes place on the unceded ancestral and traditional lands of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish people. Here at UBC, we like to give a simple land acknowledgement whenever there is an important event taking place, just to acknowledge our histories and the post-colonial legacies that we are called to grapple with as individuals and institutions. So I'm seeing here that some of you are logging in from Toronto. So thank you, welcome. We're so happy to welcome our students and prospective students from different corners of the world with your languages and your legacies and histories. Just to introduce myself, my name is Julia Park. I am the program manager of the Master of Public Policy and Global Affairs here at UBC. And I'm joined by my wonderful colleague, Hui Jia, who is the graduate program coordinator at the same program as me. So I see that we have some people from Ottawa, Vancouver, Seattle, Kingston, Georgia from the UK, and another person from Vancouver. So welcome everyone, we're so happy to see you. I am pretty sure all of you already know a little bit about our program at this point of the year, but just to simply reiterate, we are a 20-month or 16-month program that teaches fundamental skills in public policy and global relations here at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada. We are located in the Asia Pacific Gateway, or so-called, and so we have a series of research institutions that are devoted to the study of regions here as part of the school. And so we welcome you here today. We are happy to answer any questions you might have. Just to kick those off, we've already received quite a few questions. So while we wait for your live questions to come in through the Q&A box here on Zoom, Hui can answer a handful of questions that we've received through the help box. So Hui, please feel free to take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Julia, and thank you everyone who have submitted their questions before the info sessions, and all of those who are present in this info session. We have received a lot of very good questions, and we may start off from some of those. And among those questions, a very common one is about scholarship and award funding. And our MPPGA program offers the entrance scholarship to both international and domestic students, and all applicants to the MPPGA program are considered for the entrance scholarship. And these scholarships are adjudicated by the admissions committee and are merit-based. So they are highly competitive. Not everyone will receive them. And currently, we are not offering full scholarships, unfortunately. But if you go onto our SPPGA website, sppga.ubc.ca, if you search under tuition and funding, you will get to this page. And on this page, there's a well-organized list of both internal and external scholarship and award opportunities. So Julia is sharing the screen, and let's go to the list here. And all those awards and scholarship opportunities are administered by outside organizations instead of our MPPG program. So please feel free to look into these opportunities. And please also note that there are deadlines for these opportunities. So do it as soon as possible. Okay. Another question is about English language test score. So as a professional program, and our instructional language at UBC is English. So we acknowledge the importance of English language skills. The MPPGE program requires an English language score to be submitted if the primary language of instruction during your post-secondary education was not English. So if the primary language of your degree is English, and the primary language of the entire university is also English, then you do not have to submit your English language test score. But if one of these requirements is not met, you will need to submit an English language test score. So you can refer to our admissions website for more information on our language requirements. So if you go to this website and you will see there's applications and admissions. Under that, there's the application components. If you go to this page, you will see the English language test. Here's the requirement for the graduate programs. If you want to learn more about the requirements for the MPPGE program specifically, you can go to the SPPGA website, admissions. Yeah, and the admissions. Go a little bit down, and under the requirements, you see the third one, English language for international students. Here it lists the requirements for MPPGE program for some of the English language tests, such as TOEFL, IELTS, and some other tests. Okay, now let's see. There's another question about how long after I submit my application will my professors receive the secure link to submit their letters of recommendation? So this is a very good question. And reference request emails are sent to your listed referees at the moment you submit your online application. So we should expect the referees receive them immediately after you submit that. Let's see, we have some other questions here. Okay, here is another one. So if final grades will not be available by the application deadline, is it possible to submit the most up-to-date transcript upon submission and submit a completed transcript once one is available? Yes. So because for some of the applicants from a bachelor's degree who is still in the last year of their study, they are not able to get the full transcript when they submit the deadline, submit the transcript. So what we ask for is the most up-to-date transcript when you submit your application. Okay, and we have some other questions. And Julia, would you like to take on some of them?
Yeah, thank you so much, Hui, for those awesome answers. So we have in our question and answer box 11 questions. As participants, you can feel free to press the upvote button to show any ones that you would like to see answered first. So let's see the first question. When can applicants expect the university's decision vis-a-vis admission status, whether you're admitted, waitlisted, or rejected? So according to the usual admissions timeline going off of last year, we look at admissions and applications right after they've closed, which is usually the end of January. And so we spend a long time processing these applications to send out to members of our admissions committee which is a collection of professors at our school who are called to evaluate all applications. So there is no hashing out stage where we eliminate applications from consideration. All applications are considered fully by the admissions committee, so you can feel rest assured on that. The only issue is it takes a very long time for us to process these applications because we receive a high volume of international applicants, and we spend a lot of time making sure that each of these transcripts that come from different universities are translated into our GPA system. And so we spend this time making sure the math is done and that these grades are represented accurately. Hui is the lead on doing that. And it's a big process that we undertake every year to uphold fair admissions. And so once that is processed, we send that over to different members of the committee at around some point in February. And across multiple rounds, our professors evaluate these applications according to the number that they have received. Usually it is a large number, so it takes a while. And then all of the admissions committee members come together at some point within February to discuss the applications together. So they receive a second look on these applications and the points that they've gotten. And so going by that timeline, we expect the earliest admission letters to go out around March. So March would be the earliest possible time that we send out admission letters. And then follow-up admissions happen all throughout spring and sometimes even summer. So that process continues. I believe the first rejection letters went out around April of last year. Hui, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so you're quite right about the whole process and also the timeline. And this year, we are expecting to send out the early admission letters in around mid-March.
Perfect. So the next question is a really good one, and one that we tend to answer often because policy degrees are not as well known or historically prevalent as MBAs, which tend to be the typical managerial mid-career option. So where do public policy students work after they graduate? It's a very wide variety that spans across the public sector, so with government offices, nonprofits and think tanks, so in research, as well as privately owned companies and corporations. We actually had a career session with a bunch of consultants recently who talked about ways to get into big tech after being in a policy degree. And that makes total sense because policy is a central part of every public organization. I mean, our school has a government relations office and it is entirely staffed by MPP graduates. And the same goes for Deloitte, who has a public policy analyst position or a government relations manager. The same goes for Google, which also has a public policy branch. The same goes for other organizations that might not seem at first glance to see public policy oriented, but definitely always has an arm that is policy oriented and is looking for policy trained graduates. Next, we have, again, a very common question that we have received throughout the season. Will the degree be held in person or online due to COVID-19? So you would know that for the past year, for the winter academic year of 2020 to 2021, we ended up teaching completely online. And the university, as of yesterday, sent out a broadcast letting us know that most classes would be held online as well. However, we are currently going by preparations that some classes or more might be held in person for the following fall semester. We are still preparing, so there are no guarantees about the method of delivery. It will depend entirely on the vaccination procedure that is currently undergoing in major nations, including ourselves. But of course, our priority is to make sure that in-person learning is available as soon as possible. So I believe where do alumni work after the degree? It's kind of been answered. We're happy to guide you to the section on our website where there are alumni stories So I'm just gonna share my screen and take us to a portion of the website where you can hear a little bit more in detail about where our alumni have been. And I think that's in news and events. So if you go here, news, so we have all kinds of news spanning what our professors are doing, what our students are doing, and what our alumni are doing. So let's click alumni news. And then we have spotlight sections that are done by our marketing and communications team here at the SPPGA, MPPGA alumni careers. Why don't we press that? So this one is a compilation. So we see a list of recent alumni who have graduated from our program and are currently in different roles across the world. You can feel very welcome to look into these individuals further. I think that's their LinkedIn profile, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to just try and see. No, it's not. It is a specific article based on interviews we have done with them. So hopefully you'd be able to find some time to look through these profiles. All right.
Thank you, Julia. And
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I saw some questions from the Q&A box, and I'd like to address another one. So this is from Shifa. So I have 2.5 years of work experience, and I'm out of university for 3.5 years now. I wanted to know if I could submit 2 letters from my work supervisors and 1 from my university professor. It will be difficult for me to get 2 academic referees. So on our website, we do recommend the certain number of reference letters for applicants with different years of work experience, but it's ultimately the applicant's decision who will represent them the best. So yeah, you can feel free to submit 2 letters from 2 professional references and 1 academic reference. So that's acceptable. And I think there are some questions as well about the reference letters. And I know that we have recently got some confirmation from GMPS about submitting reference letters for those referees without institutional emails. Julia, could you please speak more about that?
Sure, thank you, Hui. So basically, we have been doing a lot of pivoting around in our department and our school because of different restrictions. We are currently not physically in office and not able to receive physical copies of the reference letters. And so the recommendation that we have received, and we'll email this out to you by Friday this week, is you have 2 options for referees without a institutional email. One is you can ask this referee to email us directly at mpPGA.program@ubc.ca. When they send us a letter on official letterhead indicating their reference for you in the letter, we will receive that as part of your 3 official reference letters. But if you are admitted to the program, the reference must also send in an identical letter on letterhead in a physical copy according to instructions that we will later send out when the COVID situation is more ameliorated and we can receive letters in person. The second option is that the reference can send the letter directly to the Faculty of Grad and Postdoctoral Studies. So their office is currently open and operating, and we will also send their address out to you when we send an email with this complete information. So there are definitely different options that you can make use of in light of these COVID situations. I see that the top rated question from an anonymous attendee is about ranking for admittance. So Hui, would you be willing to answer this question about if the candidate doesn't have a strong GPA, but would have good professional experience and lots of relevant leadership activities, would they still be considered? What's the process if they don't have the minimum GPA?
Yeah, sure. So in the admission process, the admission committees will consider some aspects from the applications, and I will list some of the very important points besides the minimum requirements. And four broader parameters decided by the admission committee. The first one is the grades, that is your GPA. So if your GPA is not strong enough, and there's any opportunity to boost the GPA before the admission, that's okay, you can do that. But we also consider professional experience as a very large part within your application. So if you have a very good professional experience and a lot of relevant extracurricular leadership activities, that is also a very good boost for your application. And the third one is your answer to the essay questions during the admission process. So it is a very good opportunity for you to articulate your interest in public policy and let the admission committees know more about your plans, your purpose in this program, and also what you have done in order to reach this purpose. And last but not the least is the references. So the admission committees look at the reference as also a very important part of your application. And please ask the referees to be specific about your abilities and what you have done for your application to MPPGA.
Awesome, thank you, Hui. So hopefully we have answered that question for you. Another common question that we receive is about econ background. So the only reason that we ask about your economics and statistics background in the application is because it takes up such a large part of your first year experience. And we want to make sure that you are prepared and that it won't take up too much of your time, because we also want you to go out and enjoy yourself and experience all the events and opportunities we have to offer as part of the program. And so if you do a course online, like on Coursera or edX, we think it is perfectly fine. We just want some evidence that you have done this work. And so if you get a certificate to us, a certificate of completion before you enter the program after you've been admitted, that would be really good information for our economics professor and our statistics professor, because we like everyone to be at a certain level when we start the course. I hope that makes sense. We also have a quick question from Kate Cameron. I feel like I've seen you on a few info sessions, Kate, so good to see you again. When do referees need to submit their reference letters? So we do have a different deadline for reference letters as opposed to the January 21st application deadline. Hui, would you be able to answer on what exact date this would be?
Yes, sure. So the deadline for the reference letters will be January 25th, 2021. So if you submit the reference letters before that, that should be okay. And I will continue to another question in the Q&A section. So will applicants be notified if there are any issues with their applications and provided with an opportunity to address these issues to still be considered? The answer is yes. And usually if we feel that when we review the application and we find that there are some very important piece of your application missing, such as two references or missing one degree certificate, we will contact the relevant applicant asking for those important documents in your application. And when we receive these documents, we will proceed to review your application as all the other applications.
That's right. Thank you so much, Hui. So the next question is, if you're currently working full-time, are you still able to study at the same time? Or would you take a leave of absence? Our official response to this is that this is a full-time program and it's for good reason. a lot of your required courses in the first year will take place throughout the morning and throughout the evening for most of the week. And so we estimate it would be difficult to hold on to a full-time job in that case. The maximum amount of work hours recommended by the school for full-time students is around 10 hours and 20 hours in the summertime. Luckily, we have a lot of flexible options for students. It is possible to take a leave of absence while you are a student here. It is also possible to go on various experiential learning opportunities in the summer between your first year and second year. Because we are a fall to spring program, we don't have any courses that you are required to take in the summertime. You can if you decide to, but if not, you can leave that time free in order to take a co-op or an internship, which leads us to this question: is there no co-op option? There is absolutely a co-op option. Our program has a career and co-op manager who is dedicated to helping you find co-op positions that are policy oriented and works with the degree. And so co-ops at our program are widely taken up by a majority of our students every single year. And it is a full-time option throughout the summer term where you will receive a salary and a full-time job at a position that is relevant to what you are studying. So for any further questions about the co-op, you can definitely feel free to set up an appointment with our career and co-op manager, Carrie Ross, at carrie.ross@ubc.ca. So the next question from Emily is, how competitive would you say the program is? That is a bit of a subjective question to answer. So I'm not sure how helpful I would be, but I think that the most important thing for us is that you are clear on where you want to go with this degree and why you want to take this degree. If you meet the minimum requirements and you're able to explain your motivation for taking the course in a strong and relevant way, I would say that every applicant has a very strong chance of being accepted.
We also have a question about reference letters. So Kash asked, is a fourth recommendation letter an advantage? So we accept 3 references through the application system, and we recommend that you put forward 3 recommendation letters. So they also said, my mentor from Oxford is so keen on vouching for me, and other academic references also need to be physically sent as well. In this case, I will recommend you put the professor from Oxford as one of your 3 referees to better represent you in the application. As for the reference letters sent physically, I guess Julia has already answered that question in the previous session. So yeah.
Thank you, Hui. We have a simple question from Emma. How many people is a normal cohort size? Are most doing the full 20-month or the 16 accelerated track? So at this point of the year, we believe that the following year will just comprise of a 20-month option, unless we deal with any surprises, but we believe we will probably look at one cohort of a 20-month regular program. And usually from previous years, a normal cohort size has been anywhere from around 38 students to 45 students. So anywhere in that number, but we are ready to accommodate up to 60 students in a given year.
There's another question from Ben. This is about the essay question. Can you mention more than one SDG if your interests overlap with multiple goals? Yeah, you can mention more than one if you feel that more than one overlap with your interest. But as there is character limit for this question, so we recommend that you explain 1 or 2 of your interests fully in order to have a better understanding of this goal. And there's another question. If you are an international student but obtained PhD degree from Australia, do I still need IELTS test score for the application? This is a very good question and a little bit specific situation that we need to deal with. Usually we take your bachelor's degree institution as the base of admission. So if your bachelor's degree is the instructional language of that institution as well as the program is English, we do not require IELTS test score. But in your situation, we may consider it the PhD degree from Australia, but we need to consult GMPS for that.
Thank you, Hui. We have a question from Ify. If you are interested in the MPPGA program here at UBC and would also like to apply to a different graduate program, you would need to pay a different application fee for each of those applications. So it would be an application fee for each application that you are submitting for every program that you are interested in. We have a bit of a tough question from Nirmal Paul. What structure or format would you recommend for a candidate's statement of intent? Unfortunately, there isn't a given template that we would be able to recommend for you in this process. It would really come down to following the instructions that are given on the application form and making sure that it's clearly and succinctly written. The clearer the wording is, the better, because our professors are looking at multiple applications in a given day. What's really important is that your motivation comes through and that we're able to learn something new about you rather than something that you've already written in the CV or other parts of the application.
We have another question from Mohammed. Will official transcripts be required by the admission committee, or is it something that could be provided later and for now, electronic copies are sufficient? So during the review session, the scanned copy of the official transcript will be sufficient for the evaluation purpose. But if an offer is made, you need to send in the official transcripts to GMPS directly.
Right. So another question from an anonymous attendee is, how many people usually apply to the program each year? We don't actually publicize those numbers, but we can say it's a couple hundred. And we have noticed a similar number of applicants for this year, measuring for different conditions. And so we wouldn't say that it's any more competitive than in previous years. Can you pursue a PhD after this degree? We have had students who went on to pursue PhD degrees, for sure. We have even had applicants who had a PhD and then came into our master's program to do a career shift. So I would say the spectrum definitely varies depending on your career goals. What we really encourage in our program is for you to know what you want so that you can tell our graduate director and our program team and all of your faculty to help and provide teamwork for you to achieve those career goals. We are very welcoming of all kinds of different career outcomes, and we do our best to collate our networks and our available opportunities for you to meet those individual and unique goals.
We have a question from Norma, and this is about if my university degree and all my academic certificates must have a certified translation if they are in Spanish. The answer is yes. So if your degree certificate and transcripts are not in English, you need to translate them into English in order for us to review your application. And also another question that is, What is the process for submitting personal statements and CVs? When you do your online application, you will have the session to submit your CV, and personal statement is not a required document. You can decide whether you want to submit it or not. And there's a question from Yasmin. This is a very good question and a very typical one. I have completed my graduation from India, but it is a 3-year program. Can I apply even with a 3-year graduation degree? So normally we require a 4-year bachelor's degree in order to be eligible for master's degree. But for those applicants from India, a 3-year bachelor's degree sometimes is acceptable. But there are some criterias that they need to meet. So 3-year degrees are acceptable basis of admission if, first, the applicant's overall standing in degree is first class or division, and the awarding institutions have been accredited by India's National Assessment and Accreditation Council with a grade of A or better, and or the awarding institution is designated an institution of national importance. So if the 3-year degree meets all these requirements, it will be acceptable in admission.
Thank you, Hui. So we have an interesting question from Emily here. Emily is graduating from undergrad this year, but still unsure if she would like to pursue grad studies. Would we recommend taking a break, working a bit, and making sure this is really something she would like to do, or go straight from undergrad to grad? So Emily, I'm speaking to you not as a grad program manager, but as a human. Definitely take that break and make sure that a master's degree is something that you want to do. When you calculate the cost of opportunity for a grad program, you need to take into account not just the tuition and the living expenses, but the time and other opportunities, the opportunity cost, if you've taken economics, that is going into what you're putting into a grad degree. For many people, a grad degree is like a springboard for them to go into their dream job, or a pivot into a different career, so a refresh into your resume. But for a lot of people, sometimes it becomes a place where you go when you're not sure what else you should do. A mentor once said to me, the hustle doesn't end when you go into a school, whether that school is Harvard or the University of Toronto or somewhere that looks really great. The hustle continues. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to be really clear about your goals and what you want from something that you commit to, including a grad degree. So definitely take that break, think about your life, think about your goals, and invest in yourself before investing in a program. That would be my recommendation. I see a GPA question, which I think would be great for Hui to answer. Hui, would you be able to tell our crowd about what we do with GPA conversion here at the MPPGA?
Let me see, is this the one? UBC GPA conversion scale looks like it is based on a 4.5 GPA. How does it affect my GPA if mine is based on a 4 scale? So it depends on where you are from, because based on the GPA calculation, according to the grading scale from every different countries. So if you are in North America, normally the GPA is 4 point, and the MPPGA requirement for GPA is 3.3. So if you are from other parts of the world, we will see the grading scale on your transcript or on your university's website. So please do provide that in order for us to calculate your GPA and decide whether you are eligible to apply. And also in this point, I really want to recommend one web page, that is the UBC graduate admissions. So on that web page, you will see all the requirements, including the minimum GPA requirement for specific countries. So Julia, could you please maybe bring up that website?
Sorry, Hui, can you guide me to the website we should be going to?
So I think it will be the last one, English language requirement. No, not on the SPPGA website. That is on the UBC graduate admissions.
Not that one.
Yeah, it should be this one. Okay, if you go to check a little bit forward, it's not on this page. Can you go to the previous one or check the eligibilities? Yeah, here. So if you scroll a little bit down, do you see this one, view other, a little bit up, Julia, please? Yeah, here, view other country requirements. If you go to your country, it will list all the requirements, including what kind of degree is acceptable and what GPA is required, and also some of the grading scales. This is a very great resource for you to refer to before you apply for this program. If you have any further questions, you can reach us through mppga.program@ubc.ca. We will answer your questions specifically. Let's go to the Q&A box here. Is there a way to check whether a person has met the minimum GPA requirement before application? Okay, so I just answered this question, and you can go to the web page I suggested several minutes ago and check from your country what is the requirement of the GPA. It's different among different countries in the world, so you can check it specifically.
Thank you, Hui. So a question from Nicola about answering the questions in the application. How precise must the policy recommendations be for the SDG issue? And should the answer to question 2 expand on the topic mentioned to the one in question 1? So to answer the last question first, no, you can refer to a wide spectrum of issues and give a totally different answer to these 2 questions. Now, the whole strategy you decide to adopt in showing yourself through these answers must depend on your own choices. I've been there, I've filled out a grad application form before, and you really need to calculate whether you want to do a deep dive on an issue to prove that you've been really immersed in a certain topic, or if you want to show that you are like a jack of all trades and have a pretty broad understanding of different issues and policy. Both of those things are good things, and I think the admissions committee would really appreciate that. At the end of the day, these are decisions that you'll need to make to show your best foot forward. So I hope that's a bit helpful. I saw a comment from Kash about reference letters. So Kash said, why do the referees need to send in a physical copy if they have emailed the letter? So what we do need to explain is that the whole solution of referees emailing their reference letters to us by email to the program email account is a concession that we have made in light of the unique COVID-19 situation. In regular years, this is not something that we would have allowed because of various verification policies that we have as the Faculty of Grad and Postdoctoral Studies. All graduate admittances go through this faculty and grad studies at UBC. And the most important thing is that we uphold strong standards of authentic letters and fairness for all applicants. And so with unverified, uninstitutional email addresses, this is not something that we can usually measure against our regular standards of a stringent, authentic letter that we will receive on part of the university. And so that's why we've made it into a two-step process. We'll receive it by email in order to help evaluate you in the right timeline. However, we do need to uphold our regular standards of receiving reference letters, and that is why we will ask you to send in a physical copy by mail. We have a CV question from Deborah. Can the CV be longer than 2 pages and have case competitions that occur during distance learning? Absolutely to both of those questions. Your CV can be longer. You never know what kind of experience will catch the admissions committee's eyes. However, don't include everything that goes back to middle school and high school. Don't make it a 10-page CV. What they're looking for is a comprehensive CV of your adult experience that somehow relates to the program and your fit for research at a grad school. All right, so Hui, would you be able to answer this question here? If it's confirmed that the degree will be held online for the upcoming 2021 year, would it be possible to delay your entrance? And what would be the process for that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Julia. And this is a deferral question. So all the applicants who have been accepted into the program can apply for deferral, but the deferral request will be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. It will be reviewed by our program director, and he will decide whether the deferral request will be accepted or not. So if the deferral request is accepted and approved, you can go on deferral to the next year. But please note that you can only defer your start date for 1 year. And if the deferral is not granted, you may choose to stay in this program and start in September, or you may choose to withdraw from the program.
Thanks, Hui. We have a simple question from Paola. Does the information you provided for 3-year undergrad programs from India apply to 3-year undergrad programs for the UK? So again, we can try out the answer that Hui gave us and go to this website here. We have the United Kingdom on the same website. So let's go to the UBC Master's Program Requirements for graduates of UK undergrad degrees. You'll see that there are at least 3 years of study. So you can see that 3-year undergrad programs are eligible so long as you have achieved at least second-class honors for the degree.
We have a question here. Is an honors degree in political science sufficient before applying? The answer is yes. If the political science degree is a 4-year bachelor's degree, and it will be sufficient for application for our program, is a course or minor in economics required to? The answer is no. We do not require to for you to have a minor in economics, but if you have the 100 level courses of economics and statistics, that would be great.
Thanks, Hui. So we realized there are just about 10 minutes left of our info session. So I'm trying to go through these questions and make sure that we address questions that we haven't seen before. I think I saw a question from Shahinaz. Could you please shed some light on the course content and whether it is the right thing for a person who would like to be a policy analyst or any other kind of career goal? So why don't we quickly go to our program page again. We'll will go to the graduate program, you'll be able to see a sample of all our courses here on this website directly. Curriculum. So if you go through this website, you'll be able to see the breakdown of our courses offered across your 2 years. When we say core courses, these are courses that usually you will take in the first year most of the time. And then in the second year, you will have much more space to customize your experience according to what you would like. In terms of a traditional policy degree, however, the year 1 will be the most important and foundational period for you to basically build all of these skills that are required in a policy skill set job. So that includes writing policy briefs, communicating policy through social media or other digital means, economics, statistics, and research design. All of these are very central job skills, not just for policy analysis, but other policy adjacent roles. All right. Okay. What are the job prospects for international students after this master's in Canada? Maybe it's a good opportunity for us to go to the International Student Advising Office website here. This is the most important webpage for international students who are seeking to apply to UBC. If you would like to schedule an advising appointment with them, this is their email to schedule a time. And these international student advisors are the only people who are authorized to advise on immigration and visa issues here at the university. So they would have the best source of information about postgraduate work visas and everything related to that experience. Now at this time, they also have what I believe is a coronavirus frequently asked questions page. This is being constantly updated according to instructions from the IRCC Office of Canada. So work permits and working in Canada can be seen here. And so I really recommend that you go through this website. On a more, I guess, literal basis, co-op opportunities and research assistantships that are widely available to our students throughout their degree are open to both international and domestic students. International students will not be shut out of any opportunities unless for the small minority of jobs that are specifically requiring domestic students for a specific reason. For example, if it has to do with the security office of a government bureau in Canada, they would ask for domestic students, but really for the wide range of jobs available to students who are currently on campus with us in the program, there is no difference whether you are an international student or a domestic student, and you will receive robust advising from our career advisor about career prospects of students in our program.
Thank you, Julia. And we have 2 questions about unrelated degree in the bachelor's years. And just to let you know that we welcome applicants with any academic focus, as well as applicants with any professional experience. It is important that in your application, you can explain why your experiences up until now, both professional and academic, have made you interested in public policy, and how they have prepared you for success in the program, and how they have helped influence your goals for the program and your career after.
Thanks, Wei. There is a question about reference letters that might be confusing people a little bit. When should the physical copy of the letter be received by, basically? Does it need to arrive by January 21st? That is not the case. in my understanding. Hui, can you shed some light on letters that are sent but are not received by a certain deadline? What happens with those?
Yeah, sure. So this is a very good question for us to clear this situation because our deadline for submitting reference letters is January 25th, 2021. And if the reference letters are not received by that time, we will start reviewing all the complete applications once the applications are closed. And if when we receive your reference letters and there are still spaces left in this program, and we will still consider your application and put them into the review of the admission committees.
Thank you, Hui. So again, we will send out a specific email to all prospective applicants with this information. So long as you've started an application with us, the email will be coming your way on instructions and information about what happens with a reference letter. Now I see that we have come to almost the end of our info session. So I'm going to close this out with an important question from Cameron. I would like to know what the major strengths of this program are. And so this is a really good question. And I have to say, depending on who you ask, depending on which professor you ask, the answer you receive will be wildly different. So I can only speak to a little bit of what I've seen is unique in our program. For example, our department is extremely interdisciplinary. I have never seen a public policy school that has such a large proportion of science professors. And I think I've seen this question in the Q&A box as well. Would anyone with an engineering background take this? Absolutely. There are people of all kinds of backgrounds in our program because we have different expertise across our faculty. These are not professors who come directly from the Department of Political Science or International Relations. These are professors who are specializing in water systems. These are professors who are specializing in anthropological studies in Nepal. These are professors who are doing trauma work in parts of Africa. These are professors who are doing human rights in the environment and climate change directly in our department according to public policy. So it's an interdisciplinary place. In recent years, we have also focused very much on Indigenous and First Nations policy and what we can do to empower First Nations communities to be involved in the policy and lawmaking process. You can see some of this when you go into our YouTube page. I'll share that screen with you now. These are some ways that you can definitely see some of our strengths as a program are unique areas in the ways that we offer different specializations. Many of our online events that have taken place in light of COVID have been recorded and uploaded to this place. Lots of different facets of our research that you can see here. For example, the LIND initiative. The LIND is an opportunity where we have gotten so much funding to host brilliant American thinkers. Last year, our theme was Thinking While Black. And so we hosted people like Ta-Nehisi Coates in talking about the future of America. Meanwhile, we offer a lot of experiential learning opportunities to go directly into regions and countries to work with nonprofits that are working on current policy issues. And our students are right in the middle of it to do coursework and add to their policy portfolio. So the answer can go on and on. That's my job, to talk about the strength of the program. If you would like to continue this conversation and to meet with us to discuss some personal questions and receive advising that you weren't able to receive today, please go to the Calendly link to schedule a 15-minute prospective student appointment with us. You will be able to do that through a link that maybe James can put into the chat, but you're very welcome to schedule a time. Either myself or James usually is available to meet with you in these sessions. Otherwise, you can send us a question to us at mppga.program@ubc.ca. Usually questions are answered within 2 to 3 business days, and you will hear back directly from Hui and James, who who are very involved in your admissions process. So thank you again so much to all of you who have joined us today. Hui, would you like to say a few words before we close?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us today. And we are very happy that we have answered a lot of your questions. Just as Julia said, if you have further questions, please feel free to contact us. We will be very happy to have your questions and look forward to review all your applications.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day or night, depending on where you are. Bye-bye.